Guys, welcome to a brand new PUBG controller setting. It's been a long while since I've done one of these, so we're going to go through them as they've changed the system menu a little bit. We're going to be looking at Xbox mostly, but you can do this for PlayStation or whatever you're on if you're using controller. Let's get into it. Starting with controller button preset. The default one you want to change to if you don't want to go straight to custom is Type B settings. Type B settings is just like playing Call of Duty and any other FPS. We'll look at custom controls at the end of this video if you're interested in learning any of them, especially if you use an elite controller with paddles in the back to do certain things. Invert X-axes, invert Y-axes. You guys know what these do. You guys know if you need these. I personally don't. Right stick dead zone, left stick dead zone. The dead zone is basically how much your stick moves without you touching it. Each controller has its own dead zone settings, and each controller has its own stick drift issues. The best way to look at this is by going to your map, and once you're on your map, see if your stick moves by itself. Sometimes adjusting these around that is the best way to do it, but if you have bad stick drift, you probably know. The lower the better, but if your stick starts moving by itself, you might want to increase it just a little bit. Vibration, this is up to you. Some people enjoy this. I personally don't. Sensitivity. Well, first of all, we had forward running sensitivity and movement sensitivity. The issue is you're going to get a lot of talk about these two settings. A lot of people say different things what they do, which ones they find issues with. Other things like that as well. For me personally, forward running sensitivity, I keep on 20. This is just personal opinion, but I seem if I put this any higher, flying into the map seems to be a bit difficult, and your guy actually falls to the ground a little bit faster as well, which is a bit weird. But I just keep that on 20. Movement sensitivity, well, this one's weird as well. You'll also see different people talk about different things, getting stuck in doorways, being able to strafe left and right. Personally, I hardly feel any difference when changing these settings from all the way to 0 all the way up to 100. You can see on my old videos where I talk about and go into detail apparently what they do, but it doesn't always feel that way. I use this on 100. Some people say 99. Some people have on different ones as well. This one you should just mess about with. Chuck it on 100, 99. See if the game feels rougher or smoother for you. Personally, I have it on 100. Vertical sensitivity multiplier. Now, this is a big one, especially if you're struggling with recoil in the game. For me, I have it on 100. I just like it being default. I don't have an issue with recoil too much on PUBG, but it's definitely one if you're very, very struggling. If you're finding you have too much recoil and you are not be able to pull your gun down enough and it keeps going up, put your vertical sensitivity multiplier higher. This means that the more you push down your right stick, the faster it'll pull the gun down. Now, the opposite issue, if you're pulling your gun down too much, put this lower, so when you pull down your stick, your gun doesn't come down as fast. Handy little one to use. Definitely used by a lot of new people in the game. Personally, I keep mine on 100. General sensitivity. This is how much you move your character when you're not aiming down your sights or over the shoulder. Personally, I have mine on 14. I found this is a nice balance to be able to quickly bounce between targets. This is mostly what it's for, especially if you have a lower sensitivity. Being able to bounce between targets without aiming down your sights or over the shoulder aiming. This is why I personally have on 14, so it's in the middle and not too bad at all. Vehicle driver sensitivity. This is your camera speed when driving your vehicle. Personal opinion, mine's on 5. Some people have 10, 15, 20. Just whichever one you prefer when you're driving. Doesn't matter too much. Aim acceleration. Another one with personal opinion, but if you're on a slower sensitivity setting, I suggest having this turned on. Aim acceleration is basically the speed your sight gets to max speed. So if you have a lower sensitivity, being able to turn this on a little bit will mean your sight will slowly get quicker the longer you're aiming down. When trying to track things such as cars and players when they're strafing, having this speed up the longer you hold it is definitely better. I have mine off because I have pretty high sensitivities, as we'll see in a bit, but hey, if you have a smaller sensitivity, try putting this on just a little bit. Over the shoulder. I try and keep this close to my general sensitivity. Just meaning, when I go for the over shoulder aim, my sensitivities aren't messing up too much. So that's what I try and match it to. That might not feel smooth for everyone, and you might want it a bit lower than your general, but I like to keep it as close to my general speed as possible. But that's when using the over-the-shoulder aim, which is normally your LB aim if using the B-type settings like we said at the start. Inventory curve sensitivity. This is just playing out to go over your inventory quicker. I like mine on 10. You might like yours lower. Doesn't really matter too much, but have a little mess about it. See how you find your inventory management, which is a hard part of this game. So definitely test this one out, but I like mine on 10 just because it's the quickest. Even then, I still mess up. Aiming down sight sensitivity. Now, probably the main reason why you're here. Well, as you can see, mine is still pretty much unchanged for the last 2 years straight if you've watched any other of my videos. But 12's pretty much all of them, apart from the 15, which is 20, which is max because it's the 15's a little bit buggy. And then we also have the 4 and 13, just because one day I accidentally changed it and never changed it back. Sensitivity is a personal opinion. You could try all these sensitivities. It might be too fast, it might be too slow, but it's all about finding what you enjoy. The best way is set them to a number, and then just see what you find them. If you find them too fast, put them down a little bit. If you find them too slow, just keep messing about with them. Once you find one, stick with it, play with it for a couple of days, and if it's still not feeling good, adjust it a little bit here and there. But once you've not dialed in, I wouldn't mess with your sensitivity again. Mine are all on 12s. That's kind of midway. It's close to my general. I can snap kind of fast. You'll see much lower ones. You'll see much higher ones. Nobody is perfect. But this is what I use. Gameplay, game DVR. Apparently having this off stops game crashes. I believe it also randomly records the game for you, right? I have this turned off just because it's kind of annoying. Colorblind mode, you know if you want this on. Some people say there's an advantage for certain colorblind modes in general. I just have mine on default. I don't really care for the other ones. Having some of the other colors are cool, but to me, don't really help me see the game any better. Crosshair color. As you can see, mine is a custom crosshair color right here. If you want to copy mine and have my purpley pink, feel free. They're on the screen right now. But this basically is the color of your crosshair when going around the map. I suggest you pick a color which isn't really on the map. That's why I go with the pink color, just because you don't really see pink on the map, meaning it won't clash with anything else around. We have some random settings here what we're going to go through quickly. Hide nicknames in kill feed. It's up to you. On-screen button hints. Buttons on the side if you want to see them or not. Debug statistics. This just shows your ping at the top of the game, as you can see over there in that top left corner. Compass background, I'd have this off just because that means you can see through the compass just a little bit. Doesn't really matter too much. Loot and flash effect, see which one you prefer. I just have it on pulse. It means the loot flashes in and out, which I find kind of good because I miss loot a lot. Energy tooltips, disable this unless you want the settings on the side when you're in your inventory. Disable clan messages. If you're in a clan, sometimes you get annoying messages like somebody's online, somebody's won a game, pop up when you're in the middle of the game. I would have this disabled if you're in a clan. Functions, reticle type. This allows you to set up custom reticle settings for all your reticles in the game. I have mine on default. I've never messed with this. You can go into the settings here and change all the colors and everything if you like to. I believe the default ones are actually okay, so you don't really need to change them. You can also change your reticle brightness if that helps you. You can go to custom, change the levels of it for certain guns. I just have this on high, on max by default. Seems the most appropriate for me. Default firing modes. Now, basically, you want to set these all to fully automatic and the secondaries to whichever one you prefer. As you can see, handguns full auto, SMGs full auto, ARs full auto. Basically, that means when you pick up a gun, it'll already be in full auto mode. Some guns, you want to make sure you've got them on burst or single fire and what you prefer. Let's say you pick up an AR, but it doesn't have a full auto mode, such as the M16 or Mutant. You can either go straight into single fire or burst mode. I prefer mine in single. You might prefer yours on burst. So decide which one you'd like. TPP, aim, camera position. Basically, this is when you go over the shoulder and you aim which way. Your camera will decide which way it'll go next time you aim in. You can either go back to your left shoulder, back to your right shoulder, the last way you peeked. It is up to you. I prefer to have it on the reset to right shoulder because the right shoulder has the most benefit in PUBG and is the better shoulder to peek on in general. I wouldn't mess with this one unless you really, really want to. Auto reload, auto equip attachments, auto equip scopes. I have these all turned on. This depends on what you like, but I believe these are all very helpful. Auto reload, when you run out of ammo, the gun will automatically reload for you. Auto equip attachments, when you pick up an attachment off the floor, the attachment will go directly onto your gun. You also have auto equip scopes, which will also do the same thing. Red dots, 4 times is 2 times straight onto your gun. Auto replace attachments means when you pick up a new gun, the attachments off your previous gun will go onto the gun you just picked up. Turn this on, very, very handy. Weapon skin, depends if you want to show your weapon skins or use the people's you pick up. Hide helmet, vest, and belt. If you want to show off your clothes in the battlegrounds, feel free. This is only your side, though. Only you can see this. So it's up to you if you want to use these ones. Radio message preset button, and message quick ping. Get these turned on, option 1, and enabled. This allows you to do quick pings where you can ping and say, hey, enemy over here, just by clicking in the right stick very quickly. Continued item usage. I have this on bandage only. You can change this to whatever you want, but this just means when you use a bandage, you'll continue using bandages until you hit full health. You can turn it on for boosts and other things, but I feel like bandages is the only one you really need. Additional action queuing. This one's very important if you're new to PUBG. For some reason, this is disabled by default, but this allows you to queue your actions. What that basically means is, if I press the jump button and hold the R2 button, when I land, my game will still know that I'm holding the R2 and shoot my gun. Certain actions like this do not work without this turned on, such as mantling over something and holding R2. It won't shoot until you let go of your R2, RT, whichever controller you're using, and it won't shoot again. Highlight additional ammo, equipment, stuff you need. I have this turned on because I'm a terrible looter. It helps me a lot. It helps me spot things like free vests and stuff I wouldn't normally spot. So I have this turned on. It's up to you if you want this turned on or not. It's very helpful if you're new to the game. Delay exit from moving vehicles. If you die a lot by accidentally jumping out of the vehicle, this will stop you jumping out and dying from doing that. This is on my default these days, so unless you're annoyed by that and trying to do fancy stunts, It's up to you if you want it enabled or disabled. Others, basically for spectating, I just leave them how they come by default. I wouldn't change any of these. Audio, this is all up to you. Personal opinion, music, stuff like that. Really up to you and how you feel. Graphics, I have 100 FOV. I feel like the other one's a little bit too much, and having it any lower, it gives me a little bit of a disadvantage. So 100 feels nice to me, and I use that in most video games I play. Once again, personal opinion. Another big thing here is anti-aliasing. Now, this is for the Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5, I believe. I'm not 100% sure on that, but basically, there are two types of anti-aliasing. That basically shows the quality of the game. TAA is basically a better version of what the game looks like, and FXAA is basically a worse looking but better performance. I believe the performance isn't that much different, so I use TAA. Now, if we go into controller settings, you can use a custom preset and change all your controls to your liking. Everyone uses different things, but I only have a couple changed here. Now, first of all, I'm using a Elite controller. That means I have paddles in the back where I can use to do certain actions instead of having to press them on my controller. Now, I know a lot of people have controllers like these days. The PlayStation controller as well also has them. But my basic preference for any Elite controller or any paddle controller is that one should definitely be the crouch. That is your most important one. That means when you're in a fight, you don't have to take your thumb off your thumbstick to press the crouch button. Instead, you can just press your paddle. It allows you to crouch in gunfights and is very, very handy. Everything else is kind of up to you. Some people have the ADS, some people have leaning. All up to you, but the crouch is definitely the best one. So for me personally, I have crouch and jump, just because I play Call of Duty sometimes and jump shotting's handy. Now, I also have mantle on these. I do a lot of jump shotting over walls with shotguns, which is kind of, you know, kind of my thing. But to be able to do that, as you can see here, I've changed the bottom button here to be my vault button, and this button here just to be jump. And then what I've done is I've made this down button be the same as this one here, so I can now vault by pressing this paddle at the back rather than having to press my D-pad, meaning I can just jump pad and vault over things when I need to instead. So once again, you can change other things on there, it's totally up to you, but they're my preferred settings. I don't really change anything on the Elite controller either. I use everything by default. I haven't got any stick tension on, and I don't use the trigger stops either. I prefer just the normal stick. These can be changed up to you depending if you want your sticks tightened or whatever. Some people do prefer them. The trigger stops can help people, but for me personally, I have them disabled, and I just love the paddles on this. And I also use the scuff paddles as well over the Elite paddles. If you would like to change something in these settings, you have to change one of the buttons that already do things. So the down button normally lets you med up quickly, but I use my inventory to med, so that's why we get rid of that one. But all you got to do is click A on it, scroll through what you want, and you can switch to it. There's lots of different settings, but that's a simple way to do it. You can also set up other combinations, such as tactical gear, limited interact on your custom controls as well, and such as make it so you can equip a stun, molly, med by this way, which is probably better, but I can't be bothered to learn it. But if you're looking to starting new, you could set that to like first aid and stuff instead, so you can use your down button for something else for your paddles if you're using them. Guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you've enjoyed it today. Hopefully these settings have helped you. If they do, please leave a like below and a comment saying they've helped. If you'd like to watch us live, we pretty much stream every day on twitch.tv/GamingNacho, and we should also be live on YouTube these days as well, so keep an eye out for that. Thank you everybody, and we'll catch you next time. Goodbye. Thank you so much for watching today's video. Have you come and watched us live on twitch.tv/GamingNacho? You haven't. All you have to do is go over to twitch.tv/GamingNacho, click that follow button, and you'll get a cheeky notification every time we go live with PUBG content. Thanks so much, and we'll catch you next time.